What have we got? Okay, a little bit different today, where I've been called to sort out a hive that's gone a little bit rogue. The story behind this is that the owner of the hive's mother used to live here, and she's gone into a nursing home into care. I don't think the hive's been looked at for a while, and as a consequence we've got... What have we got? We've got an upside down hive happening here. So I've got a big cluster of bees underneath the hive and no activity coming and going from the main front door. So first thing I'm going to do is just pull the top part of the hive apart, see what's going on. I want to make sure we haven't got disease in there, and then once I've worked out what's going on, then it'll be the next step, which I think is going to be transferring this open air upside down nest into another hive body and getting them sorted out. It's definitely a bit of a pain in the neck, because what's happened is that they've attached to the underside of the bottom board of this box, and they've encased the hive stand within the nest. So anyway, let's get into the top box and see what's going on. We'll pop that off, and we've got no bees at all up here. So this is a Flow Hive. Let me just see what the weight's like in this. Yeah, okay, so there's no honey in that. It's empty. I can see that there probably has been, but it's all been robbed out. Right, so we've got a few bees in here. When I say a few, a little tiny cluster. So this is our brood nest, and this is where any disease will show up. You can see that is empty. And empty. So the whole nest has been cleaned out. There's no sign of small hive beetle infestation. And as far as disease, it's sort of looking good.
Just hold one steady just for a second and pull it out.
Yep. So look at that. We do have some bees on here. But as far as disease is concerned, the really bad one is American foul brood, which kills the developing larva inside the cell, and it stinks. And we clearly don't have that as an issue here. We'll shake those off. Oh, so I can see some larvae in here. We can also see in the bottom of these cells some cells with 2 eggs. Eggs laid off to the side of the cell. That is classic laying worker. So what happens with laying worker is there's no queen in the colony. They go hopelessly queenless. Because there's no queen mandibular pheromones spread around the colony to stop the worker bees from laying eggs. Now, worker bees can lay eggs, they're just not fertilised. And they can lay eggs, but they don't do a terribly good job, which is why we end up with 2 in one cell, or multiples in one cell, and they're kind of not laid very neatly. So these little larvae here, which is only a couple in that, a few in that cell, these little larvae, if they were allowed to hatch out, they'd hatch out as drones. So just a few more bees there, and no real sign of disease. So that's good. What I think has happened here is this colony several months ago probably did a reproductive swarm. That means they start building queen cells. The old queen leaves with half the population. That leaves the hive at that point queenless. One of the queen cells hatches out, you know, you end up with one unmated queen inside the box. She flies out to mate and then comes back. I think what's happened is, instead of her going in through the front door, she's landed here and gone underneath the box and hasn't found her way back into the hive. And as a consequence, bees have started to accumulate around her underneath the box. And if I just pop this box, we can see it's got a vented baseboard. So she's under there going, I want to get back up into the brood, but she can't get through here, can't work out how to crawl around back up and through the front door. Next minute, we've got bees accumulating under there, and the nest virtually gets moved down underneath. All these bees in this box, all the brood eventually hatches out and migrates down there with the queen into the new brood nest, which is why I'm pretty confident that there was no real sign of disease up here. So the frames are fairly clean, other than the fact that they're old and there's just a handful of bees left on there. Right, so now we've got to deal with this. I think what I'll do is pull this whole frame out and flip her over, treat it like a cutout. I could shake them out onto a cloth to work them, but instead we're transferring them into a box. I'm going to use one of these HiveIQ boxes, put them in. So I'm going to cut all these combs off and frame them up in here, and then the bees, this is going to be the bees' new home. Okay, let's give this a bit of smoke, just to let them know we're here. And hopefully I can just lift this. Oh. It's somewhat buried under some roots. There we go. Whoa. Okay, so this up. Like that. How's that look? Oh, a little bit of weight in it. And there we have it. Wow, it's a bit bigger than I thought. Quite a bit. Anyway, right, next. So definitely a bit bigger than I really thought. So we can see that it's actually attached to the hive stand. And I can't get the hive stand out without cutting the comb through there. Righto, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 frames here, I reckon. So I'm going to try and get them back into the box in roughly the same order that they've come out in, even though, you know, this was a smaller bit, so it might end up with this little bit here. So I'll just cut away. We'll look for the queen. It's not super important that I find the queen on this, because if she takes flight, she's going to fly back here to this nest. She'll find it in the box. So I'm not overly concerned, but it'd be good just to check her and see what's going on. Not unusual at all to find like the outside comb of these open air nests to just be completely empty of anything, especially after the weather we've had. Just means that the bees don't have to defend that outside bit and now they're defending that bit rather than that whole face. And that one feels completely empty. Yeah, there's nothing in that. So I probably won't even use that bit. We'll put that there. I'll just put them over here. So that bit of comb's empty.
Sorry.
So I'm still not feeling any need to put on a veil at the moment. The signals I'm getting are that it's not necessary. Come on. What's going on there? Not much. There's our queen. Just down the bottom. I'll chase her up a bit. See my finger? She's hiding in under there. We'll put this down.
She's right in there if you want to grab her. Oh, I see her.
That's it. You can't hide, she's sticking her head inside the... Righto. So what I'm going to do is, there's our queen. Make sure we don't want it to take off. And I'll just show you, there's the queen there. So I'm going to mark her so that the owner's going to be able to find her. So I just got this little paint pen. Just put a little spot, red spot on her thorax, like that. Just get that nice and dry. I'm not kissing her, I promise. We'll just pop her into the cage there. So now that's great, son. And now she's safely in the cage there. We don't have to worry about her. So I'll just put a rubber band around her, just so it doesn't pop open. She'll be released at the end of the job, but let's just whack her down there. Next step now is just framing up, and to make that job a little easier, I'm going to shake these off into the box over here. I'll do that once I've got one piece of comb in there. It's not real perfect, but we've got bits of comb that are broken off this. It won't take them long to reattach this comb in here. Fortunately, the sun's come out after like weeks of endless rain, and there is still a bit of nectar around. I've noticed some broadleaf paperbark flowering. With any luck they'll be producing a bit of nectar. I'm pretty sure that's the creamy coloured pollen we're seeing coming in as well. And there we go. So they'll reattach that. They'll fill in the blanks. So now I've got one frame, one bit of comb in there. I can kind of shake these off it as I go. Shake these into that box. I hope this doesn't break. It's pretty fragile. There you go, girls, off you get. Oh, there's a beautiful smell of Nasonov coming up now. They're just fanning like crazy. It's my favourite smell in all of beekeeping. It's that lemongrass smell.
I like that smell.
You need to stick your head over this box. It's fantastic. It's so good to smell that Nasonov. It's like a welcome little indication of their general happiness despite what's going on at the moment. It is a locator pheromone. It's indicating to the rest of the colony that this is where the nest used to be, and it's going to go back there in a sec. It's kind of fine to be just working this without protection for me. I don't recommend doing it if you haven't worked bees before. So what's going to happen in here now is that the bees will get to work reattaching these combs into the frame. They'll chew off the rubber bands. Within a couple of days they'll have attached the comb in the frame and chewed off the rubber bands, and then they can start building up again. Oh, we'll move the queen over. I'm not going to let her go yet. I'm just going to put her in the box over here. At the moment, just down near the front door. Just so any of these returning bees can smell it in there. Pretty determined to hang on. So I'm spotting on here an old queen cell. So what I can see in here is there's still the capping on the queen cell, which indicates to me that she's been killed at some stage. They've chewed a hole in the side of the cell, which is why we've still got the capping on the cell, and they've dragged out her corpse through the side of the cell. So chances are this colony and nest that's under the box has actually swarmed since it's been there as well. Otherwise there wouldn't be queen cells there. And the queen that's there now is the one that is possibly the murderer of this queen. It looks like there was another queen cell here too. The leftover sign of another queen cell there. Anyway, we're nearly done. So I've got probably 3 more frames to do. I'm going to cut this back one off right now because you can see it's the really fresh and, oh no, that's the one I've already cut off. Might just get that out of the way. I'm ready, but there's no point rushing. The potential squashing bees and squash bees aren't happy. So not a bad sort of brood pattern. It's been plugged up with a few bits of pollen in there. Okay, so the queen's still in the cage here. I'll let her out in a sec. Look at that, they've already chewed through that rubber band. What I'm going to add is some frames with wax foundation just to fill this out. We've got framed up 6 frames of brood and comb. So I'm just going to add the other 3 frames of foundation in there. Give them a nice fresh start. Push that one over. Like that. Excuse me, girls. Another fresh start. So our queen's still running around in there. And I'll just release her. Righto. So there's our queen in there. Might be able to see her with a big bright dot. Right there, and you just go in there. Come on, go down. There she goes. She's just run down in between the frames. Perfect. Okay, job just about done. I'm just going to move this box out of the way for a minute, put the old hive stand back in place, and get out of here. Wow, she's pretty light. What I'm going to do is reduce the entrance just to make sure that we don't get any rubbing behaviour or anything going on, so we'll just close that one up. So rubbing's when bees from another colony move in and start stealing nectar or pollen resources. So if we reduce the entrance, which is what's happened here, they've just got less to defend rather than that whole entry point. And seeing we're sort of moving past mid-autumn, it's not a bad idea to start closing down entrances anyway. Anyway, nice friendly bees. I've got a new insulated box there that they'll do very well over winter inside, provided they can get themselves some new nectar in there and start getting that resources in there before it gets cold for about 6 weeks. Anyway, job done. get out of here.